All right, so let's talk about week 3 of John Cena and Cody Rhodes in the ring together face to face. Now, look, I talked about it last week and I talked about it more on the Thursday stream I did with Brandon Draven, the KLB Live Road to WrestleMania. And I talked about how the Cena Cody feud had a great opening angle in the chamber, and the first week I thought was a good setup, but it was beginning to become underwhelming, and they needed to really have a knockout performance and do something here in week 3, because as of right now, based on what we've heard, John Cena is not booked for any more Raws until WrestleMania. Now, that does not mean he won't appear, because let's not forget that last year, before WrestleMania 40, there was a Raw they had in Chicago where Rock was not advertised. He showed up, and that was the Raw where he beat up Cody outside and made him bleed and beat him up next to that bus. So there's still a chance that Cena will appear as a surprise, and I hope he does. But they really needed to knock it out of the park this week, and I'm pleased to say that the storyline actually progressed. This was the best of the promos they've had so far. I still have some issues. I'm going to go over the pros and the cons here on this video. But one of the cons that I had talked about prior to this was that there was no physical contact. You know, Cena hit Cody in the balls, hit him with his dad's watch, and made him bleed. And I'm thinking, okay, well, that's enough for a fight. Any man with balls would want to hit that man back. And it was weird that Cody was coming out and not attacking Cena. And strangely enough, in my stream, there were people that were defending this. Now, Draven said it was the pussification of America and the fact that people have become snowflakes. But even if that's true or not true, I looked at it like, is this ballet or is this pro wrestling? Since when does a good guy let a bad guy beat him up and not try to hit him back? It didn't make sense to me. Well, luckily on this last show, they did get physical. So at least there's that. Now, they didn't do it the way I thought it should have been done. I feel like for these two guys, it would have made sense if they were surrounded by security to kind of elevate it a bit more, kind of give it that Mike Tyson Austin vibe from '98. They didn't go with that. And ultimately, I think that would have given it an extra layer of realism. But this time, the promo was different because Cody comes out right away before Cena can even talk. And he starts to basically say, okay, well, you're going to eviscerate me. He talks about how Cena's going to kill him on the mic. And then he brings up things like his lisp and his tattoo and all that. He got booed in the company he founded, all that stuff. You kind of like preemptively, telling Cena what he's going to say. Now, what Cody's talking about is the fact that John Cena has destroyed people on the mic in the past. Go back and watch the build-up to WrestleMania with The Rock. The Rock was doing the whole Fruity Pebbles thing, but Cena eviscerated him when he said via satellite and when he caught The Rock writing his promo on his wrist. Like, that was callously destructive. And then Cena's also, just destroyed, cooked guys like AJ Styles, The Miz at one point, actually a couple times. Even Roman Reigns during their first match, I think it was in 2018. 2017, 2018, Cena just went on there and just, roasted him. So this time Cena actually responded by explaining why he turned heel. He went back to talk about how Cody was his limo driver, or not limo driver, but his driver, his chauffeur, which is true. They used to drive around together and Cody would absorb Cena's information. And Cena felt disgusted at the fact that Cody was mediocre. He actually opened the promo by saying that he's going to bury him. And he's like, I've been accused of burying talent, which, ask JTG, ask the Nexus. These are accusations Cena's had throughout the years, right? Of course, when they say burying talent, It's one of those things where they're doing like the whole worked shoot thing, because the talk was that Cena uses political power to hold other talents down. Now, that's obviously something that it's in the eye of the beholder. We have conflicting stories. There's times where Cena probably has done that, and then there's times where he's done the right thing. Don't forget that Cena lost to CM Punk in 2011 in Chicago. 1, 2, 3 in the middle. Cena lost to Bryan Danielson, Daniel Bryan, the next year. Cena lost clean. Cena also put over Brock Lesnar in 2014. Like, Cena has done the right thing when business has called for it in the past. However, during his run, he's been accused of just smashing everybody. And Cena's entire thing was that, you know, that he worked so hard to elevate the title, and that WWE has now put the title on somebody who's mediocre. He basically said that I don't bury talent, I am talent. I bury mediocrity. And basically said that he raised the bar, and that he's kind of grossed out at the fact that Cody is the guy who they picked, because basically what Cena was saying is that Cody was basically like a lesser talented clone of his. And, you know, Cody's response, because, you know, at first, Cena was really getting in there. I mean, vocally, the performances were great. You know, Cody responded with some zingers of his own. He talked about how, you know, oh, the difference between you and I is that the people made me, which is true. Look at what happened last year. And did they make you, or was it a guy in an office that we don't talk about anymore, referencing Vince McMahon? He said that John Cena's promo has less dick than what's in between his jorts. He says that because Cena brought up the fact that he was a 16-year-old kid who was, you know, shy of speaking in, you know, publicly, which is probably true about Cody, but he definitely overcame that, so that should be commended. But then, you know, Cody was like, yeah, well, you like to hang out with Zac Efron and think that you're 16, wish you were 16. And then Cody, you know, he really did stand up for himself in a good way. I mean, he said, you're still my hero, but you're also a piece of shit. And, you know, that got a big pop. The crowd chanted piece of shit. He talked about how John Cena was manufactured, and that is objectively true. Listen, what I'm about to say is not an insult to John Cena the man, okay? John Cena the man has done a lot for charity. John Cena the man has done a lot of things for kids, many of them barely clinging on to life, and that should be commended, right? He did work hard. You cannot deny that. Is he a perfect person? No. But the reality is John Cena was manufactured by WWE. I mean, John Cena was a product of the WWE corporate machine. You know, I was saying it in the 2000s when he was getting pushed. I was saying it all throughout the first maybe 7 or so years of his run, that he was basically manufactured. And he was. He just took the ball and ran with it as best he could. So Cena then, you know, had a great line. He brought up AEW without insulting AEW. I'm pretty sure that some of the AEW nerds are probably having a meltdown on social media as we speak, even though Cena didn't even insult the company. He basically said, you know, I create empires for billionaires. You just take their kids' money, which was a obvious reference to Tony Khan, right? But that's not an insult to Tony Khan. It wasn't like Cody was disrespecting Tony or AEW. I mean, Cena. It wasn't like Cena was disrespecting AEW or Tony. He was disrespecting Cody by saying that. Now, the reality is Cena does kind of owe Tony Khan a receipt. Let's not forget that the night that NXT went head-to-head with AEW and WWE stacked the NXT show with Cena, Undertaker, and all those guys, Cody, Tony Khan made that tweet about how it was the first time the Undertaker and Cena didn't appear in front of over 1 million people, which a lot of folks saw as a low blow. Tony Khan was very much criticized for that because it wasn't like he was attacking WWE. He was basically clowning The Undertaker, who was universally respected, and John Cena, whom at the time had hit legendary status. And I remember that because I remember he got totally tore up for it, because it's not like Cena and Taker were taking shots at Tony. You know, you never saw them do that, but then he did that. And I know what he was trying to say, that his show put a dent in NXT's show, which it did that night. But saying the name of Cena and Taker and kind of using their lack of drawing a crowd as a W is not a good look. So I'm just making that clear for everybody to remember that. But no, Cena didn't insult Tony Khan with this. It's more so the fact that the whole point of Cena's promo is that Cody's counterfeit, that this isn't the real him, that he hides behind his music, that he hides behind people singing his song. And, you know, if you take it all the way, he's just pinstripes. And Cena basically told him, he's like, you know, at WrestleMania, I'm taking that title with me and I'll be the last real champion. You're going to go to Fanatics and buy a toy belt and carry that around. You know, which is a great line, because there have been some fans. I was actually trending today. There have been people who genuinely believe that if Cena wins the title, he's not going to wrestle for the rest of the year and go home with it and never come back. That's not going to happen. Cena has dates. Cena's going to wrestle for the rest of the year. Unless something changes, an injury or something like that, Cena is booked what's the word I'm looking for? He's booked on various shows for the rest of the year, not week to week, but he's booked, okay? He's not going to just take the title and leave. Don't be a mark, okay? It's not happening. But people seem to think that's the case. And there was talk of WWE having to make yet another belt, another tournament, which, I mean, they always do that, but in this case, that's not happening, man. It's obvious that Cena's going to win the title at WrestleMania, and then he's going to hold it until he drops it either back to Cody or to someone else before he rides off into the sunset. Now, how that's going to play out, that remains to be seen, but that's the obvious story. Now, the promo ended with basically Cody made some good points. Talked about how when you left WWE, you didn't leave it in a better place than it was before. And basically he said that Cena being there is what allowed Cody to leave. You know, and then Cena kind of responded back by saying, yeah, you left because you knew you couldn't wipe my ass. I mean, they had a great back and forth. But it ended with Cena like teasing he was going to attack, but he turned around, he was going to leave. And then Cody said one last thing. He said, the difference between you and me is that nobody's ever chanted, you can't wrestle. And that was enough to make Cena stop, and that was enough to get under Cena's skin. So that line got under his skin. Now, if you're wondering why that line got under his skin, I'm going to tell you. Because back in the mid-2000s, 2006, 2007, Cena started to get chants of you can't wrestle, because he was basically, they were talking about the fact that he was clumsy and had the 5 moves of doom, and his offensive style was unorthodox, like JR would say. He just wasn't that smooth. Like Cena's always had kind of a bodybuilder type of body. It's not like his body was sculpted to be a pro wrestler, maybe visually, but in the ring, especially like 2004, 2005 Cena, he really was seen as being, you know, clumsy. And they were also booking him with guys like Triple H, Chris Jericho, Kurt Angle, who were all better technical wrestlers than John Cena. Now, Cena did work really hard to improve. He definitely did. And if you look back at Cena's catalog of matches, he's had some great matches. I mean, the idea of Cena being a bad worker, if you still think that, dude, you're watching a different product, because John Cena had unarguably the best match with the Great Khali he's ever had in that Last Man Standing. The Umaga match, don't even get me started on that. Cena's matches with Triple H, Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania, the Edge feud. I'm not saying that those other guys weren't great, because Edge, Shawn Michaels, Undertaker, Obviously, we're talking about some of the best ever, but Cena hung in there with them, and he did work hard. So there's truth to that, but it was also what made sense for Cody to say. Cena was trying to get the jump on Cody again. He swings, Cody ducks, and he hits him with the crossroads, and then he throws his hat on top of him and leaves. So Cody did get his retribution. Now, I still feel like it would have made more sense to have Cody hit him first, since Cena hit him and turned on him at Elimination Chamber, which, by the way, The Rock was also mentioned, because Cody's like, which one of us sold out to The Rock? So, I mean, The Rock was also mentioned here. And that's good, because I was wondering for weeks, when the hell is Rock going to get mentioned? Well, now he is. If only he'd be on TV, but whatever. Don't get me started on that. The point is, of the 3 exchanges, this was the best one. This was the most impactful. And now that Cody got the upper hand on Cena, we'll see what happens next. But it was the best of the 3. It's still far from perfect. There are ideas and concepts they could use to really elevate this. Specifically the fact that Cody's going to tell Cena that you sold out to The Rock because you can't beat me in a fair fight. But I think what they're going to do is, after The Rock screws Cody at WrestleMania, then Cody will use that in his next promo exchange. I think that that's still going to be part of the story, but they're trying to make it so that The Rock helping Cena is going to be a surprise, even though it's not going to be a surprise because, well, we all know that it's happening. I mean, it would make the most sense. I would be very surprised if Rock does not cost Cody the title at WrestleMania. So, like I said, Cody being ready for Cena this time, ducking him because he's the younger and quicker opponent, younger and quicker athlete, putting him in the crossroads is basically telling the world, like, if it's this easy to get you in the crossroads, you might be in trouble. And that, I thought, was actually effective, because it shows that Cena in a fair fight will never be able to beat Cody. Not this Cena. Maybe Cena from 20 years ago, but not this Cena. We're talking about, like, from a sports perspective. You have to look at it like, any sport. LeBron James now or LeBron James 10 years ago. Any athlete. Father Time beats us all, right? And that's the story, is that Cena selfishly wants to be in the sun one more time as champion, and The Rock will help him because it's going to screw over Cody. So Cena did explain why he attacked Cody. That's why he said, there's your why. So now we know why, because Cody was counterfeit, and he feels like Cody was counterfeit, and he was disgusted by that. I still think there's more they could do, but this was a huge improvement. And this is what they needed to do. Both guys cooked on the mic. They both threw bombs at each other, and it went well. And I thought this was a very effective build for WrestleMania. I really hope it's not the last we see of John Cena in this build-up. I worry it is, but I hope we get some more surprises in the next couple of weeks. This was effective, though. And I just want more. Like, this made me want more. And not just them talking. Physicality. Besides that, there was a hell of an angle on the show with Gunther and the Usos that you should go out of your way to see if you haven't. It was phenomenal. Something right out of the 80s. And it was great because Gunther as a heel is not the same type of heel that other heels are, in that he's the kind of guy who will humiliate you, make fun of you, but when he beats you 1, 2, 3... he's done with you. He doesn't really do low-life stuff, but the angle he did with the Usos was total evil low-life stuff that Gunther's never done before, making Jimmy Uso bleed in front of Jey Uso, licking the blood, very Brock Lesnar-like. And that right there, I felt was a different layer of Gunther as a heel. So those 2 angles were great. There was also a Logan Paul AJ segment that was okay, but not like the other 2 angles I mentioned. Go out of your way to see those 2 because they were amazing. So, yeah, thumbs up for this week's Cena and Cody build-up. like I said, man, I still want more. I think there's still more to be unpacked here. Let's see where it goes. Anyways, yo, those are my thoughts. Please feel free to leave yours in the comments. Take care.